So today we have a new 4K review video. I'm going to be reviewing the Tobey Maguire Trilogy slimmed down edition of, the Sam Raimi Trilogy. So enjoy. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, back at it again with another video. I'm actually trying to get back into the swing of making content again, so I've got 2 free reviews, an unboxing and a collection planned for the rest of this month, and my monthly pickup video as well. So yes, hopefully you enjoy the content. I'm trying my hardest, but there is a lot going on with university at the moment. We're all in full swing now, and I've got like 3 to 4 films that I have to do sound work on. So yeah, I'm trying to get out as much content as I want. But saying that, I wanted to do this review. So late last year in November, with the anticipation of the release of Spider-Man No Way Home, the third in the Tom Holland series, we got 2 releases. We got the Andrew Garfield set of the Maguire Spider-Man, aka the Sam Raimi Trilogy. So basically, I wanted to, in the big Spider-Man hype that I am at the moment, I booked to see No Way Home for my 5th time on Wednesday. Yep, but that is right, I'm going for a 5th time because I enjoy it that much. I wanted to talk about these transfers, I wanted to talk about these films as well, so it's going to be a bit of a review of both. Yeah, because I had a lot of fun sitting through watching these films and the Andrew Garfield films, so I'm very excited to tell you what I think about these films. So of course, where do we start? We start with Spider-Man 1, the OG Spider-Man from 2002. So obviously, you know the drill. Peter Parker, he's a big old nerd. He gets fucking shat on his entire life. He then goes on a trip with the college, no, it's school, innit? He's in the last year of high school, now remember. And he gets bitten by a spider. Instead of going to the doctors, he decides to sleep it off. Who knows why? He's not going to see a doctor about it straight away, but he's a young teenage boy. We all do stupid things like that, don't we? Meanwhile, while this is happening, his friend Harry Osborn's dad, Norman Osborn, is trying to keep the military funding for his new glider and special enhanced his super soldier serum stuff, which I actually read a rumour somewhere that it might have been actually tried to replicate the super soldier serum from Captain America. That'd be a fun theory if that was actually true, wouldn't it? That'd be quite cool. The military have told Norman that he's got this much time to get it to human trials, otherwise they're pulling the funding and giving it to their competitor. Little do they know, they want to get rid of Oscorp as a whole because Norman Osborn isn't really liked. In the pursuit of that, he decides to push the human trials and do it on himself, which then sends him into a mental spiral as he then becomes what we do know now as the Green Goblin. When Peter wakes up in the morning, he realises that he's got incredible new strength. He's now realising that there's a lot of changes going on in him, and he has actually now become Spider-Man. We then follow Peter around, trying to get a fucking grip on what he's doing. He actually tries to get himself $3,000 because he's trying to impress Mary Jane. He then enters a wrestling match for $3,000. He actually beats the guy Bonesaw, played by the late great Macho Man Rowdy Savage. Actually, the announcer is the first of the 3 Bruce Campbell appearances we see throughout the trilogy. Love a bit of Bruce Campbell, love a bit of Brucey, don't we? And then he gets underpaid. The organizer gets robbed, which leads to the event of Uncle Ben dying, which then leads Peter into becoming Spider-Man, obviously, because he gave him the speech of great power, but comes great responsibility, as we see throughout every trilogy. Basically becomes the Spider-Man, tries to do his best, and this is where he runs into Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, and this is where their rivalry begins, because obviously, a Goblin, he wants the power, he wants it all, he wants Pete, he realises people are not going to like him anyway, and he wants thingy. Little does he know that Norman obviously has no control over this. Yes, which is actually played better in No Way Home, if you ask me. But yeah, overall, I really do like the film. There are some great moments in it. So obviously, Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, we'll start with there. I do really like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. I think he does a really good job. I think he does a really good job as Peter Parker. I think he's very nerdy. He obviously fits the role. He fits the stereotype very well. He's obviously not too ridiculously ripped as well, so obviously plays more into that this guy could be anyone sort of thing, which is kind of nice. I'm actually going to take the slip off because, I don't know, it keeps slipping, so I'll just do it with it like that. Yeah. The film itself is still pretty good. It still holds up very well in a lot of aspects. There are some lines that are a bit like, was just like it wouldn't get through today. Like, what is it? When he's in the wrestling costume, so that's a cute outfit. Did your husband make it for you? Yeah, implying that he is gay, and as if that's a problem. Or like you could try and spin it saying like he knows that he's a very toxic masculine man. He's trying to play on that guy's emotion. So you could play it both ways, but I think it's obviously the first rather than the latter point. But yeah, no, overall I think the film itself is really good. Willem Dafoe is absolutely on point in this film as Green Goblin. I think he plays the duality very well. He really suits the Green Goblin. One thing about the Green Goblin that I'd like to mention is obviously the suit looks great. I've never thought there was a problem with the suit. I love this I prefer that suit of the Green Goblin over the comic book actual Goblin version of him. The only Goblin actual version I really like of him is like the Ultimate Spider-Man one that you see in Into the Spider-Verse, the big bulky version. I really like that version of Green Goblin. But yeah, no, I really like it. The mask as well, I think it really does. The only problem with the mask is more the mouthpiece is what sometimes you can see he's not actually speaking. That's more annoying. But like when he kidnaps Spider-Man and has him on the rooftop when it's in the darkness, you can't actually see it. So like his mouth moving is just like the black mesh, which I think they should have done for the entire film. Obviously people complain that you can't really tell about Willem Dafoe acting, but he does lift the eye bits up quite a lot, and like you can still tell Willem Dafoe is a fantastic actor, and you can actually tell that he's really selling it just for his eyes, like Tom Hardy did with Bane, you know? Like, I don't know why Bane gets a pass and Goblin doesn't. Is it because his face is more covered up? I don't know. I really like the mask. I think it was kind of wasted in No Way Home, personally, because I really like it. The rest of the casting, Kristen Dunst is my least favourite of, like, all the like love interests throughout the Andrew films and the Holland films. I think I don't know, there's something in the way she's written. I don't know. There's something about her. She isn't written very well in a lot of places. Like, yeah, she just comes off very selfish in a lot of places. I don't know. Just like compared to like Gwen Stacy and compared to MJ in the Holland films, I don't know. It's just there's something about her. But no, overall, I do really like. I think it's still a solid film. Spider-Man 1 is still my favourite. I know people will probably say, well, how could you pick it over Spider-Man 2? I don't know. I've just nostalgia-wise, I love the first one. I think it's just Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, to be fair. I just really like it. I love the interactions between the pair of them. The fight right at the end is really well done. It's like also has that horror aspect to it as well. Obviously, you know, Rami doing the Evil Dead trilogy, he can't help but not get a bit of horror inspiration into some of his films. Yeah, transfer-wise, definitely lets the first one down because it's very inconsistent in a lot of places. Sometimes it's very noisy, sometimes it's very washed out. The night scenes, I would say, is where it looks absolutely fantastic. When Goblin is giving him the ultimatum at the top of the bridge, it looks incredible. When we got all the close-ups of when he's kidnapped him as well, it looks great. I don't know, just... But then there's some scenes, like an example that I can really think of is when MJ walked down that alleyway that leads to the Spider-Man kiss, the famous bit, was it just kept getting, it was like sort of okay, and then it dipped really badly, and then it picked up again, and then dipped really badly again. Like some points are just really overly noisy, some are really washed out, but then some bits look really nice. I think like it really could have benefited just being taken out, done a really like from scratch transfer, I think, just because there's something about it that just doesn't sit right. Like I just don't think it really helps. It's the weakest of all the Spider-Man transfers that I've seen so far. But does it take away from my overall enjoyment of the film? No, not at all. Rami has done a great thing with like the Spider-Man films. I just really like. There's just something so nostalgic about these films. I think they're really good. I keep saying films. I haven't even talked about 2 or 3 yet. But no, overall, I do really enjoy the first one. I think it's really great, and I think it's a great start to this great trilogy, in my opinion. Obviously, the CGI is also one of the parts that date it as well. Like, it's very rubbery in a lot of places, but also, I just think it's a lot of fun. Like, I think we forgive quite a lot of it, because obviously it is cheesy, but that was like the time it was done in, so I don't know, it really helps. Like, just like that famous line, it's just like, I had to be an old lady with a stick to get these cranberries. like stuff like that we all forgive, just because it's so great, and just something about it, it's just fantastic. Honestly, absolutely adore Spider-Man 1. I think it's a really great film. Transfer-wise, definitely lets it down, but still, if you absolutely love Spider-Man 1, I don't think the transfer is going to take away from your enjoyment of this film. So, going on to number 2, Spider-Man 2. I don't know what I am doing with this. So obviously 4K-wise, on this release. Only the theatrical version is in 4K. Spider-Man 2.1 is not, which is a shame because I really like Spider-Man 2.1 for those extra scenes. Like, the elevator scene is extended, like, where that guy's really trying to sell his business to Spider-Man. He's like, what are you... no, I'm not interested. And when you get to see James in the Spider-Man costume. I actually didn't mention anything about J.K. Simmons as James. I can never say his name. I always forget it. Obviously, J.K. Simmons was born to play Jameson. Like, he does such a great job in all of these films. Like, every time even in the Andrew films where you don't see him and he has that little email thing, like when he says wrong, it's just like I heard his voice. Like, absolutely fantastic job. One of the best castings, along with like Green Goblin and fucking Mr. Doc Ock, Alfred. I can't say his name. Same with Doc Ock as well. Like, this is one of... I do really love Spider-Man 2. It definitely has my favourite fights of the trilogy over Spider-Man 3 and 1, just because the Doc Ock fights are always just so, I don't know, fun to watch, just because he has that extra... Because he has the arm, he has those extra strength, so he's able to lob stuff even more. And they go more even crazy with the CGI fights, which is glad why Doc Ock was the first villain that Tom fought in No Way Home, because you got to see more of what was great in this film. Like, so you had like the fight on the side of the building, you have the fight on the train as well. Like, oh, the fights are just fucking incredible, honestly. The casting for Doc Ock is absolutely gorgeous. Like, Alfred does such a great job as Doc Ock. He's really great at playing the snobby doctor, but he's also very sensitive. He's also a genius as well. But then he's also really great at playing like the mad scientist as well. Like, oh, he's just the full package, and he does such a great job as Doc Ock, honestly. So basically, the plot of this film is basically, obviously, Peter is just trying to balance it all at the moment, and he's sort of just losing it. So he's like trying to get the girl he wants, he's trying to repair the damage with his best friend, he's obviously trying to get a job, he's trying to work, he's trying to get his degree. Like, obviously, his landlord is getting on him at rent and stuff like that. But yeah, honestly, and it leads to him having a bit of a quarter life crisis, because he's not even 25 yet, is he, in this? But yeah, so he has a quarter life crisis basically, and he starts losing his spider powers because he doesn't know what to focus on at the moment, which I quite like that as well, because honestly, it's really cool to see like heroes go through that point where they don't know if they want to be a hero, like if they want to be a hero anymore, or if it's the right thing for them to do. I think it's a really great like moral question to ask the character, and I think putting it in the middle of the film is a really great idea to develop more from the first one, because obviously he developed more into Spider-Man in the first one and became comfortable with it, and now he's basically has everything that in his life, but he's also overwhelming, really. So I really like that. It's a really great aspect to the film. Just Rami really knows how to write his villains. Like, I think, like, obviously Goblin was really strong, obviously Doc Ock are really strong, both of them really great characters, and they just have great interactions. I don't know, I love Doc Ock. Just some of the lines, like, here's your change, and he's throwing like Duck McScrooge style at him. Oh, it's great. One thing I will say though about Doc Ock in this film, I think he looks better I think the costume design was better in No Way Home than in this one. I think that's probably controversial to say, but I think the overall like costume with the coat looked better, whereas like the green and like leathery brown one he wore, I don't know, I'm not really too much of a fan of that one. But I will say though, I don't know how Sam Raimi got away with doing the hospital scene. Like, just because there's no blood, that scene is fucking horrible. Like, the woman scratches her nails against the floor and you see that peel away. Like, I've never seen anything, like, apart from in like 18 rated films like, say, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or other horror films and stuff like that, you never see like nails being pulled off and stuff like that, or nails scraping. Like, oh, I don't know, there's something, it sends chills down my spine thinking about it, really. No, it has a really nice conclusion. Like, what is it? MJ finds out who Spider-Man is, finds out that it's the guy that she's been, like, what is it, she doesn't know, and then finding out that both of the men, like, realising why Peter is the way he is, and it's because he finds out it's Spider-Man, which is nice. And it's nice that those two actually come together, because, yeah, again, with MJ in this film, she's doing dickish things, like, she's marrying Jameson's son, but then she's like doing the Spider-Man kiss. It's just like, just leave him. You don't want to be with him. I don't know why Rami wrote him. Right? I don't know why Rami wrote her like this. She's honestly one of the worst characters in any Spider-Man film. I don't know why she's written this way, because I swear MJ wasn't written like this in the comics. I don't know. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 is really great. Story-wise, great film. Transfer-wise, definitely improves a lot more than the first one. It's a lot more consistent in a lot of places. CGI holds up a bit better in a lot of places as well. It doesn't look as like rubbery as the first one. But yeah, still some places where there's like a lot of noise, and like I think the colour is a lot better in Spider-Man 2 than it is in Spider-Man 1, which is really great. And it's good to see that with the progression of each film, the transfers do get better. But again, yeah, I feel like both of these could have been taken down, stripped, and then redone again. But I think these releases were probably just done as cash grabs, ready for the release of No Way Home, capitalising on it. But if they weren't, and these were planned, I feel like Spider-Man 1 and 2 really need better jobs on it, personally, transfer-wise. But again, it's not the worst ones that I've seen. I've seen a lot worse transfers of the pair of them. But yeah, honestly, it's weird to say, but Spider-Man 3 has the best transfer of all three of them. Obviously the weakest of the three films, but still a great film if you ask me. I'm going to explain why. Obviously all the Venom stuff is... it's to play on Peter's ego, isn't it? He's now getting into that proper egotistical version of Spider-Man, because he now has everything he wants. He has the girl of his dreams, his job's better, like everyone loves Spider-Man, like again probably like people are actually appreciating Spider-Man, whereas in the first two they don't really appreciate him that much. Like, that's a great moment of like the second one, where like obviously he goes and then Jameson says, aha, I did it, he's hung up his cape, and then he's like, shit. That. But yeah, no, Spider-Man 3 is really great in a lot of areas. Can we, like, the Sandman story itself is absolutely fantastic, how it links back into the first one, obviously how we thought that guy that died in the first one killed Ben, but actually he accidentally, Marco didn't want to hurt him. Basically, it was by accident. They accidentally killed him and stuff like that, which I quite like. But where we get to see it from both Peter's perspective and Sandman's perspective, where he thought that he was just vengeful, it was just like bang. But obviously, from like Marco's first interaction, so we see him. He's like, he doesn't want to hurt people. He's not the typical villain. He's just someone who's trying to do what he does to get by. Compared to, he wasn't out for power. He wasn't out for anything like that. He's paying for his mistakes, and he's trying to do better for the sake of his own daughter, which I really like Sandman. He's such a sympathetic villain, and I think he's done a great job. And again, perfect casting as well. I don't know the man's name, but he does a great job as playing Sandman. The CGI obviously doesn't hold up like compared to some bits, but then even on the transfer though, like the bit where he comes back to life after falling in the collider, it obviously doesn't look as crisp as like the sand particles could look crispier, like detail wise of the actual CGI, but the actual transfer looks fucking incredible. That scene as well, absolutely beautiful. Almost brings a tear to my eye. Actually, it's just so lovely and so powerful how he brings himself back to life for the sake of his daughter. He has a mission, he has a moral, and it's not like a bad one either, which is quite nice. Now, I do want to talk about, obviously there's two villains in this one. We have Venom. Now, obviously Venom plays more into the egotistical side of it, and like some aspects of it I do really like. Mainly I just hate the guy who plays Eddie Brock. The guy who plays Eddie Brock is my least favourite of any of the villains we've seen in any Spider-Man villain. I hate him more than Dane DeHaan as Green Goblin, for sure. And I don't like Dane DeHaan as Green Goblin, but I fucking would rather see him again than see the guy who plays Venom in this. I'm glad that Tom Hardy took the reins as Venom, I'm not going to lie. Actually, that might change though. I haven't seen Woody Harrelson as Venom yet. Like Venom 2 is down there actually. I still need to give that a watch. Sorry, I tell a lie. There's 3 villains in this, because you obviously have the stuff with Harry as well. But Harry's stuff makes sense. We're not going to even talk about James Franco, because his acting is just fucking weird throughout the entire film. Just James Franco, I don't know. I get he was big at the time, but his acting is very questionable. But I'm not going to stay too much to talk about him, because I don't want to talk about him. But overall, I'm not the biggest fan of his acting. He can pull off some scenes, and then some scenes are just absolute shit. Gwen Stacy's in this also very shortly. Not really too much to say about it, to be honest. Just a side plot really at this point. I feel like maybe she would have gone into it a bit more later if he got a 4th and a 5th film, but Yeah. Overall, it does. Overall, the film, it does get a bit messy in a lot of places, but at the end, like, it does all come together. It all does pay off. It does have a nice conclusive ending, I think. But yeah, there was a bit too much going on. Maybe if we just stuck with a Sandman and New Goblin, I think that would have made for a much better film. Rami could have hammered in more on some of those emotional beats. But I still think overall, it's a very enjoyable film. It's definitely the weakest of the three, but it doesn't deserve the hate that it gets. Like when they talk about the dancing scene and stuff like that. That's what Peter assumes is cool. Like, that's his version of cool, because he isn't cool. So I can forgive a lot of that stuff because it makes sense contextually with the film and like the world it's built out, and like with this Peter. But yeah, if that was like done with Andrew Spider-Man, I don't think it would work, because he's just like, his version of cool is a lot different. Like, where he's the loner skater guy, this guy's like actual, like, complete nerd, like actual geek scientist sort of thing. So this makes sense for his character. Yeah, transfer wise, looks absolutely fucking gorgeous. All the scenes where he's in like the black version of his suit are beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Just yeah, Spider-Man 3's transfer is absolutely great. It's not perfect, like I said, but honestly, it is fantastic. It looks so good, man. It just looks really good. I really enjoy it. Overall, I really enjoy the Maguire trilogy. I think they are 3 great films. Like, I think Sam Raimi did a great job on these. I'm very excited to see what he does with Multiverse of Madness. I can't wait to see some of those horror influences throughout the film. A lot of great casting, like, apart from Venom and Franco, the main villains, Goblin, Sam, and Doc Ock, were all fantastically cast. Jameson was fantastically cast. Tobey Maguire plays a great Spider-Man. Do really like Aunt May as well. Haven't really mentioned her. I think she has some really nice emotional moments throughout the trilogy. I think she gets better as the film goes on. She's not a very physical actress, but she does a great job with those emotional scenes with Peter and stuff like that. I think they do a really great job on those. But yeah, overall, I really do love the films. I'd rate this trilogy at like a 9.5. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's a great trilogy. Transfer-wise, I'm going to give it about a 7.5 for the whole film, whole thing, just because Spider-Man 1 is very inconsistent, and like Spider-Man 2, like, they get better, but they're not like the best transfers, if that makes sense. That's what probably lets these down, but they are an upgrade more over the Blu-ray, I will say that. And if you're wondering about space-wise, like, obviously, like, three films, 2 cuts of Spider-Man 2, all on this very much slimmer one, so it fits very nicely on your shelf. So if you were more, I would say this is definitely worth your money, as instead of buying all 3 of them as a thing, just because I have the Blu-rays and they do take up a lot of space, so it's very nice to have them housed in a very nice slimmed down version. I wonder if Holland is going to get the same treatment when his film comes out. His trilogy is all available on 4K. So guys, that's about it really. This review sort of thing is a bit of a mess, but at the same time, I just really wanted to talk about the Spider-Man films themselves. I wanted to talk about, like, I'm just in that sort of mood to talk about Spider-Man at the moment, so I thought I'd just do this, talk about this, and yeah, next I'm going to talk about the 2 Andrew films, as I have quite a lot to say on that movie, on those 2 films. Yeah, so probably some opinions that people are going to be like, did you actually just say that? Yep, so I'm very excited to get into that, honestly. But yeah, some people are probably, sorry if this review is a bit all over the place. I've just been trying to ramble, not gonna lie. And basically I just tried not to ramble too much, but at the same time, I just really love these films. I hope that comes across in this video. Yeah, just go watch some Spider-Man. Go enjoy watching some Spider-Man. Definitely recommend picking up that release. But that being said, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. It's in one of these corners. I think it's normally... I don't even know anymore. But yeah, follow me over Instagram. I'm going to do some posts and stuff like that over there. So if you'd like to know more about what's going on, come over and say hello, really. My DMs are open if you want to talk. Leave some comments and stuff like that. Yeah. Hope you did enjoy, guys. Hope you have a nice day. Hope you don't get hit by a man made of sand. That being said, guys, I've been your boy. Hopefully you have a great day. And yeah, have a good one. Boy, peace out, my brothers.